So between the last time we recorded and now, I've got Audio Hijack 4, which just came out like 2 weeks ago.
This is the one they talked about on like ATP or something, right? Upgrade.
Like every podcast we listen to. Yes. They all were like, the new version of Audio Hijack. Here it is.
And they were all really excited about it.
Yeah. It looks very nice.
Have any of the features meant anything to you yet?
No, because the primary features that everybody's excited about is that you can like script it with JavaScript and stuff now, which is a cool idea. Like it's a really cool feature. But the use for that would be to like use your Stream Deck or some sort of automation, macro pad or something to like do stuff with your Audio Hijack. And that works if you have like lots of different profiles to record under. And I have one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
So the only thing that really has changed for me, at least right now, is that it has a new look and feel. Like it has a much more flat and like candy look and feel instead of like more of a old school look and feel, I guess. So I guess that's good. I mean, it's prettier, I suppose. They also added a couple of blocks so like they can have a built-in compressor now, which is handy. But we run a compressor on our edit pass anyway, so it really doesn't change anything, I don't think.
They also said something about, you never change your profile, so it doesn't matter. But you could, they said it was like one of the nicest features was that you didn't have to drag and drop anymore. You could connect things via like actual inputs on the boxes.
Oh, yes. I did that a long time ago by dragging and fiddling with the fiddliness. And now it's all good, and it has been good, and it just brought over my configuration from Audio Hijack 3. So
did you have to pay for it?
Yes, but you got an upgrade price.
Did you need to pay for it?
Technically no, but this is one of these things that like is kind of fundamental to the way that I record this podcast, so that I can record both of us in case your recording doesn't work or whatever. And so it's kind of critical to my workflow here. And so I figure it's worth supporting them with their updates. Plus, I want to keep getting updates. I don't know if they're going to keep updating the old one, as they constantly have to fight with Apple over like access to Mac OS's features. So they're like always having to stay up to date. And so I really want to encourage and enable that, let's say.
Yeah, that's fair.
So who knows if this episode is actually going to record? I mean, I'm hoping. But new software, so yeah.
Well, my recording will be there because I haven't changed anything. So everyone can just listen to me talk to myself for like an hour.
That would be so awkward.
Welcome to Pride and Accomplishment. My name is Jason.
And I'm Chris. This is episode 74.
Chris, we haven't recorded in like years.
Yeah, and it's been a long time.
And it's been like it's like I haven't gamed much in the last like 3 weeks. I've just been really busy with stuff and, life. And we got together today and we were just like, we don't know what we're going to talk about. And I feel kind of bad because I don't know how the show's going to turn out, but it's just been, I don't know what it's been about the last couple weeks of April and the first couple weeks of May, but I just feel like, I don't know if you feel the same way, but at least for me, like I just feel like I haven't had nearly enough time for gaming.
I don't know that that's necessarily been the case for me. I mean, I still have maintained a similar level, I would say, of gaming. But the variety of the games I've been playing has been pretty narrow, I'll say. I think since last week we spoke, I've played a little bit of Destiny 2, a little bit of Sea of Thieves, and a lot of Guild Wars 2.
And that's so surprising to me. I have here written in the notes, Chris is better at Guild Wars 2 than Jason now. Which, I mean, okay, no. But anyway, I wrote it because it's funny, because you've been playing way more Guild Wars than I have.
Yes. Yeah, I have found myself like just using Guild Wars as my like, oh yeah, I'm going to hop in Guild Wars and do this thing. I want to like, use that as kind of a, quick jump in and do this thing. I don't know. It's something happened for me like a month ago, I want to say, in that I found, or you told me about Muckluck's Guide to Mechanist, which is one of the new specializations in End of Dragons. And that guide specifically that you had sent me was the low effort or no effort or something guide to playing this class. And he started to do these for lots of different classes, which is really cool. But the thing I think that really encouraged me there was that he said, like, oh, with this, you can pull pretty good DPS numbers. Like, you can do pretty well without really having to do anything, because you have, as a mechanist, you get like a golem, and the golem's like a little robot that kind of does its own thing mostly. And it will always like just keep attacking no matter what, like even if you are, out of position or not doing very well mechanically. And so what that did for me, I think, is it gave me a lot of confidence about being able to hold my own in terms of like still putting up some numbers, even if I'm like a little unsure on the actual mechanics of what I'm doing. And it's enabled me, it's given me a lot of freedom in my own head to try some of the more kind of, I don't know, high level content maybe is not quite the right word, but like fractals and like group content that's a little bit more involved, shall we say, than the typical Guild Wars experience.
Yeah, most people point out the large difference between open world and instanced content.
There it is.
So fractals, dungeons, strikes, raids, I don't know which of those you've done, but those typically are a little bit more difficult because they limit the number of people, and they, there is a small sense of responsibility on each individual.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I could tell you what role that I fill. If you ask about doing strikes or whatever, and it's like, oh, we need a whatever the thing is. I can't even think of them right now. I know healing is one of them and alacrity is one of them, and I know that I'm neither of those things. But as far as roles go, I just basically hit things. Power. Yeah,
I think you're just a solid DPS build.
There we go.
Whether you're condition or power, I'm not sure, but it doesn't really matter unless you're getting really into end rating. But it's been nice to see you find something that is low intensity enough but high enjoyment, and you've I'm impressed with how much you've been playing.
Yeah, I've put in a little bit, quite a bit of time actually, but it started off with the fishing, right? It all started with fishing, and I have now gotten to 16 out of 30 fishing achievements on my journey here to become a cod swimming amongst mere minnows. So that's been a really nice little gateway back into the game for me. And in doing that, I was like, oh, here's some achievements, and I can chase some more achievements, and here's some more achievements. And so I've been doing a little bit of achievement hunting in Guild Wars, which has been kind of fun, mostly non-combat stuff, mostly kind of chill things. But chasing those things has been fun for me because, as everyone knows, I tend to like watch TV or something while I play games like Guild Wars, like MMOs and those kinds of games. And that's actually been great for me. I've gotten through a couple of seasons of TV shows while I have been getting a few achievements in Guild Wars. So it's been a lot of fun. I've been actually pretty surprised at how much I have found myself wanting to kind of go back and do things. I'm not quite at the level of like setting alarms on my phone to do to instance time content or whatever. But I do actually look at the little event timer page more often than I did. Oh,
okay. Have you found, has a desire developed in you at all to be more serious about Guild Wars? Or do you really like the laid back, like you just want to do more of the laid back stuff in Guild Wars? Because one of the reasons I really like Guild Wars, right, is because it allows for both, and both of them are kind of equally productive on the grand scheme of things. And if you never want to do raids and you never really want to get into strikes regularly or anything like that, you don't have to. Like, Guild Wars doesn't force you into that stuff. It's not, it's not like WoW, where you have to, you have to get a higher eye level to kind of stay relevant and keep up. It's just not a thing in Guild Wars. So have you found, because you've been playing more, that you want to do more, like you want to learn more, or you want to experience more of that? Or are you kind of content with how you're experiencing Guild Wars so far?
I feel like I would like to get a little bit more into it, but I don't know how to go about that. Like, I'm sure you're about to tell me a whole bunch of ways I can do this.
No, actually, what I was about to tell you is that's one of the largest criticisms of the game is that people don't know how, even if they want to.
Yeah, and like, I don't even, so I said I was following this kind of low intensity guide, and I didn't even follow the guide correctly in that I didn't go to get all of the exactly correct stats on all of the gear that I have. Like, I think it asked for something that had, I don't know, power and ferocity or something. And the closest stuff I had in my pocket at the time was like power, ferocity, and vitality or something. Or I don't know, I may have these a little bit wrong, but basically I was like, these aren't quite as good as the thing they asked for, but like they're kind of close. And then I have not really put, like, I understand the concept of like, you need to find stuff that has these traits on it. And like, I think there's ways you can target after that stuff. Like, I think you can go after it in certain ways. But I don't know how to do that outside of basically going after ascended or legendary gear that's like just straight up customizable, you know, where I can just like choose from any of the list. And that kind of frustrates me a little bit and kind of keeps me away from wanting to do that stuff, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it really is one of the largest criticisms of the game is when you're brand new and you kind of want to start targeting a build of some sort. If it's Berserkers, which is the basic power DPS build, it's pretty simple. But anything else is almost like a wiki maze to figure out how you're supposed to obtain it, you know, like how do you obtain the currency in order to get it? And, you know, God forbid you want to do two different builds, right? One for healing and one for DPS. Like it's very not straightforward to obtain the right statted gear. Now, I think there's an element of it that makes it okay, is that once you get that gear, you don't have to ever get gear again. So making it difficult the first time is kind of okay. But the problem that I think a lot of people have is that there's no in-game way that explains it or that kind of describes it or points you in the right direction. You have to go to the wiki and you kind of have to dig through and really figure it out. So I call it a wiki maze, right? You're clicking through 15 different pages to figure out which way is the right and quickest and easiest, and that can be really frustrating to players. And a lot of times they just say, screw it, never mind.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am at the moment, is just kind of, I'm going to do the things that I'm doing at the moment and kind of chase after a few of I don't know, I've got a couple of achievements I'm chasing after at the moment. I would love to go after a legendary piece of gear, which I know is a significant investment in time and in-game money. But I'm almost at the point where I can't decide or figure out how to start that. And like, I'm just kind of gathering stuff and I'm like, I'll just keep playing the game. I'll keep getting materials. Eventually I'll go look at the wiki one day and it'll say, hey, you have, 75% of the things that you need in order to get this thing. And I'll be like, hey, that's neat. Now I have a short list of things I can target. So I'm still kind of in a weird kind of situation there, I guess I would say, where I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to chase after. But I would love to go after some legendary armor of some sort, I think.
Yeah, I'll tell you, and this is, I don't know if I've given you this piece of advice before, but there are basically 3 legendaries. Well, there's one legendary, which is for the Return to stuff, like Return to Living World Season 3, Season 4, Season 5, that is 100% absolutely nothing more than complete a bunch of achievements. Now, it's a crap ton of achievements, right? And you're essentially revisiting all of the Living World seasons. But once you're done, you just straight up get the legendary in your inventory.
Ooh, that's nice.
And I'm currently chasing that one, right? And it's really nice. You just check, and I'm literally going in order, right, top to bottom. Some people like to do it in like however, whatever, some fast and efficient way. No, I'm just going top to bottom. I'm replaying the stories in order because I love replaying stories in chronological order. And it's been really fun, especially Living World Season 4, which I always talk about as the best storytelling in almost any video game. It's been really fun, and it's been purely achievement based. There are two others. There's the Living World Season 3 specific and the Living World Season 4 specific legendaries, Aurora and Vision, and they are like 80% achievement based, and then probably 20% material or gold sync, depending on if you have the materials. And I liked those too, because again, it was one of those checklists. Like I pinned 4 achievements in the top right hand corner. And every time I logged on, I was just like, all right, how do I knock out one more piece of one of these achievements? And that's been really nice because they haven't been grindy. They haven't been kind of like oppressive on like, oh my gosh, I just need to go like grind 15 more Murlocs or whatever, right? But it's been those have been nice because you get a sense of pride and accomplishment every time you get a little green check mark on one of the achievements, and eventually you end up with a legendary in your inventory. So that's what I would recommend for you. Also, replaying the story is really fun, and it gets you to revisit all of the maps around Tyria. And for someone that is very achievement focused, that's a great option.
I will say for the story-based content, I did actually finish the Heart of Thorns story this past weekend. Finally, 8 years after it came out or something. So that was fun, I guess. I've had it sitting at like halfway done for like years and years because something else came up, or a Living World season came out, or I wanted to catch up and chase with some other people, and so I did that and just left the Heart of Thorns story just sitting there. And so then I finally came back to it, and at least now I can say I've completed it. I actually don't think I have Living World Season 3 completed yet. I have one of the chapters randomly in the middle of the chapters. I think chapter 3 I did the return to, and I'm not sure that I've done many, if any, of the other 5 chapters of Living World Season 3.
That's a good little story. I mean, Season 4 is better, but Living World Season 3 is pretty good. Have you finished the Icebird Saga? Because I haven't.
Nope.
I've watched someone else finish it.
Yeah, I played that with you for like, I don't know, a little while, whatever we did, the first 2 or 3, and then we just kind of didn't finish it, and
it just fell off. It's such a bad story.
I don't know. I don't even know. I have no idea.
The maps are really good, but the story is just really bad.
The thing that I've been chasing lately has been the gourmet title, which is the chef master level title. And I have almost completed it. Like, I've done all the cooking parts that you have to do, and then it comes with a whole bunch of like, go get this thing and bring it to that person and spend a bunch of gold on it and bring it to this person. Not a bunch of gold, but like, I don't know. The total cost for me is going to be like maybe 50 gold or something. I don't know. Which is a lot. If you're a longtime listener, you may remember that I at one point didn't even have 100 gold. Now I think I have 210 or something after having bought all this stuff. So moving up in the world a little bit. But I'm on the gourmet side of things. I have, I want to say like 18 out of 21 things. And you want to know what the thing that's got me held up right now is? You will never guess.
You're right. I won't.
It is bloodstone dust.
Really?
Which that may not mean much to people, but like bloodstone dust is one of those things that like
I throw it away. By the piles.
I can't figure out how to get it on purpose now. Like
I can help you with that.
I had so much of it. Like I even built the gobbler thing that like you double click and you spend it on getting other items because it was so useless. And now I'm at the point in this gourmet thing where they need bloodstone bricks, which are made out of bloodstone dust. And
yeah, it's like 50 per brick, isn't it?
It's like 100 per brick.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, I think I have 6, of the 10 bricks that I need. So I need like 400 of this bloodstone dust. And I know there's ways to do it. I just haven't, like, I Googled like, best way to farm bloodstone dust or something. And like all of the posts were about how to get rid of it. I'm like, no, but I need to figure out how to get more.
Yeah, I can help. There is one map that's pretty good at it, and I can help with that. Bloodstone Fen is the place where Bloodstone Dust was introduced.
Okay.
And you can go mine it there, just like iron.
Interesting. All right, I may have to get some notes after the show here.
Yeah. What does the gourmet title give you other than the title? Like, does it give you something in your home instance? Does it give you any functional benefit?
So one of its steps, because it has, it's like a base level game title achievement, whatever you want to say. So it goes through the 4 major races of the original Guild Wars, and so the Sylvari part of it gives you a plot in your home instance, a garden plot, which is actually one of the things you can buy from the gem store. So it gives you one of those with the caveat that you have to craft seeds and plant the seeds, and the seeds are only good for one day. And then when you harvest the thing, the seeds don't grow again. But if you buy it from the Black Lion thing, then you can purchase a renewable seed pouch or whatever it is that you can use every day. I don't know exactly how it manifests in the game, but essentially it's unlimited planting of the plants in the garden things. So maybe at the next gem store discount sale thing over the summer or something, I may pick up one of those garden plot things, because then I'll have 2 and I'll be able to use the same, I'll be able to buy the little seeds and plant them. Also, it gives you a lot more variety.
It's possible to earn 3 of them, and I knew that 1 you had to buy, and I assume 2 of them you can earn.
I thought, yeah, maybe. I thought it was 2 you had to buy.
Okay, maybe it's 2 you have to buy and 1 you can earn.
Yeah, so the gourmet thing gives you that. It gives you a title called gourmet. And then by being level 425 in cooking, you get a cooking node in your home instance, which is not terribly valuable because your home instance is in a home city, which has all of the crafting tables. It's kind of cool, though. I mean, it's just one more thing in your home instance.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's a good goal. It's actually on my list. Is chef and cooking and all of that is on my Guild Wars 2 wish list. It's pretty far down at the bottom, but it is on the list.
What this has started to do is make me seriously consider actually leveling up some professions on an alt, which is a very unusual thing for me to say. So I may actually dust off an alt slot and a level 80 boost that's been sitting in my shared inventory slot for years.
Well, don't
do that.
Don't boost them. You don't have to boost them. Wait. When you say profession, do you mean crafting or combat?
Crafting.
Okay, so you get experience for crafting. You will actually get to 80 by crafting.
Okay.
So don't waste the boost. The other thing is, as long as your
the boost is not a waste; it's sitting in my inventory.
I know, but the other thing is, as long as you have a Mistlock Sanctuary passkey in your shared inventory slot, your alts just sit in Mistlock.
Well, yeah, they would, or I'd park them at jumping puzzles.
Other than chef, crafting is really boring to level, in my opinion, because there's guides out there on how to do it most efficiently, and in my opinion, there's no reason to not do it most efficiently, and it costs, I don't know, 40 gold to get to max level.
Sure. So
unless you're choosing to I'm only going to use minerals or materials that I obtain, and I'm not going to buy anything, then honestly, it's probably an hour and maybe 2 hours of following the guide.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's more of just I had 2 professions. I had leatherworking and I don't know, weaponsmith or something. And then I dropped weaponsmith, I think, for cooking, or no, huntsman or lumber, whatever the wood one is. The little tree, the picture of the tree. Anyway, I had that and I turned off that one in order to get cooking. And now I have cooking basically maxed out, and I'm just going to keep cooking, I think, because I'll have gourmet. But now I'm thinking I should get some alts that can basically make the gear for my primary character. Yeah.
I mean, that's basically, I have one as an armor and weaponsmith, and one as an artificer and jeweler, because there are some recipes that only those 2 professions can make. Whereas something for weaponsmith will also be available for huntsman, because they're like anything that's kind of generic is anyone that can craft weapons can craft this. But Artificer and Jeweler are so specific that sometimes you need them. Like for some legendary weapons, you need a maxed out Artificer on your account in order to craft one of the items. And the item is account bound. So that's why I did it.
Yeah, that's actually, I think, what started me thinking in that direction anyway, was that I was looking at the list for, Vision or one of those, and it said something about having to make something as an Artificer. I was like, oh, I should probably look into that. So yeah, I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't have a plan for these alts yet. I don't really know what class I would make them. I briefly a few months ago dabbled with being like, I want to make a Mesmer, and I made a Mesmer for a minute, and then I deleted it because I was just like, I don't think I like this playstyle.
I now, as of last week, character slots were on sale last week.
Oh.
And I noticed I had 8 characters. And if you know Guild Wars, you know there are 9 professions. So I bought one more slot, and now I have one of each profession.
Good for you.
So I only play one of them, but I have all 9 now. And I've created them, and I've kind of left them alone. They do start to get birthday gifts, which are semi-valuable if you just leave them sit. So it was just one of those things where I was just like, wait a second, I just need one more, and I have a complete set.
Gotta catch them all.
Gotta catch them all. In a turn of events, you have played Guild Wars 2 and left Destiny 2 in the dust. But not entirely. I've left Destiny 2 in the dust, but you finally went back to it last weekend, is that right?
Yeah. So we talked a lot about Destiny 2, I think in our most recent episode, because we had just gotten it and played it a little bit, and we're enjoying it. And then since that episode, we the two of us have not played Destiny 2 at all, even a minute.
No. Which again has not been a conscious decision. It just hasn't happened.
Yeah, sometimes these things, they just don't happen. But I have played Destiny 2 a little bit since last we recorded and talked about it. And I will say that I finished the Witch Queen main storyline. Okay, so I have some questions because I have not finished it. We were kind of playing it together up until a point. How far were we away from the end? There are, I want to say 9-ish main story missions or something like that. And we were probably on number 4 or 5. So not that, we're probably about halfway, I would say.
Okay. And I'm trying to avoid spoilers, which I don't know how easy it will be to do, but is it as good as everyone was saying?
Well, I will say it's going to be super easy to avoid spoilers because I'm not actually sure I can articulate what the story was, because I'm not sure I was paying quite close enough attention as I was going through it to really intelligently speak on the broader story points. I'm being a little facetious, but there was, in typical Destiny fashion, a lot of okay, I kind of see what you did there, but okay. I think that they did set it up pretty well, and I think that it was better than whatever the previous story that I had played was, which I think was Beyond Light. I think you'll like it. I'd like to go back and do it with you. I'd like to do this last few story missions again, and see if maybe after having seen the prologue or the epilogue rather of the kind of campaign, if it makes a little more sense what everything is going on. But I felt from the beginning that you and I had done in the first few missions that I had little idea of what was actually going on, why we were chasing the things we were chasing.
Yeah, it wasn't totally clear. I would ask you every couple minutes, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? And you would have some sense of what we were doing and what we were chasing, but the whys were also the whys were always very flimsy.
Yes.
And it sounds like they don't ever kind of resolve that. Although that is kind of you're right. That is Destiny's style. That is as I hate to say it, but in Destiny, the story is pretty good as long as you can understand what you're doing. And you never really get the why.
Yeah, it's very like localized, I would say. Like they kind of set you up with like, we have to go kill this boss. You're like, all right, great, I can do that. I know how to do that, right? I just follow the little markers until the big boss shows up and I kill the boss. But the overarching kind of thing, right? The big bad and like the why are we doing this and the fate of the world is at stake, but why is the fate of the world at stake? It's very dramatic, but with not a lot of explanation. Or at least maybe I'm just not very invested in the fate of the world of these characters because it seems like they're always like hanging in the balance of some massive good versus evil battle. And I think it's just a little fatiguing, perhaps. So yeah, I would say that like at a micro level, the individual missions are fun. And some of the payoff in some of the missions is pretty good. But like at an overarching macro level, maybe they're setting it up to play over the seasons, and I think that might actually have a little bit more, like if I really get into that and do it a little bit, might make more sense. But boy, it is tough to follow. Yeah,
that's part of like Destiny's overall problem, perhaps, is that they can't, because it's in a way a story-driven MMO, it's really hard. It's a story-driven MMO with an ever ongoing season, right? So in Guild Wars, right, there's the story and the living world, but you pay for each story and one ends and another starts. Whereas in Destiny 2, like you finish the story, but there's an ongoing season and then there's another season and then there's another season. There's no break. Like and it's story driven. So you almost can't resolve the problem.
Right. Cause you always need some reason to go out there and keep shooting at people.
Right.
So yeah, it's a little bit, I mean, I'd like to see what your thoughts are because I do remember one of the missions I was like, oh, I think Jason's going to like this. So I would like to go back to it. And I think it would be good to, if we get a chance to go and kind of do those last few story missions together, maybe. And then I don't know, I'm interested. I'm curious. Like I got to the end, and they pop up this big screen that's like, here are the other things you can do now. I'm like, oh, neat. Like I could go chase some of these quests like that. Those are fun little checkbox things I could do. So I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just not saying that like, the story brought me to tears because it was so great. Like it was fine.
It was fine. Have you played any more of the Dares of Eternity? Is that what it's called?
No, I haven't. And actually, I really want to. I want to do, because there's a bounty or something that's like do 3 of those bounties for the strange Star Horse thing, and I have 2 of them, and so I need one more Star Horse bounty before whenever that expires, which I also have no idea because the menu system in that game is very difficult to navigate. So yes, we should play Destiny again. Like that's I think the moral of this story here.
Okay, real-time follow-up. You ready? Because I was really nervous that Dares of Eternity was going to go away, so I immediately searched it. And apparently it is here until at least the end of 2022.
Oh, good. So we got some time.
We got some time.
Come back to us in November when we're like, oh no, we haven't played Destiny 2 in 6 months.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Because that's definitely something we would do.
That's absolutely what's going to happen. Okay, what I will ask listeners to do this week is fill the void in my heart by telling me what they've been playing, because I haven't been playing much. I will live vicariously through all of you. You can let me know what you're playing. You can let Chris and I know what's on your mind and give us your thoughts. Remember, nice words only. You can get to our Discord by visiting discord.pnapodcast.com.
If you'd like to find our show notes or any of our older episodes or send us an email, you can visit our website at pnapodcast.com. That's P, the letter N, the letter A, podcast.com.
If you're enjoying the show, we would love if you could just share it with some others that may enjoy it as well.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.
You have been on a keyboard journey.
Yeah, so this all started with a kind of my return to the office at work, which is a strange kind of way to do that, to start the story. But I recently started going back into the office at work, like going, to a desk in a place and sitting down, like bringing my laptop and like
every day or just some days or
just some days, not every day, but just a couple days a week.
But enough to have a return to work.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, longtime listeners may know this, but I'm fairly particular about my technology and the things that I surround myself with and use on a daily basis from a tech standpoint.
Really? You don't say?
Yeah, it's a real shocker, I'm sure. But so I go to the office and every desk has a chair, okay, a desk, right? A power strip, good.
Okay, that's nice.
One monitor, 24-inch, 1920 by 1200, HDMI cable. That's all it is. And the monitor's plugged in, obviously. And that's it. That's the whole setup. It's just a bunch of empty desks with single monitors on them that you can plug your laptop into and just sit there for the day.
No mouse, no keyboard.
No mouse, no keyboard. Like, nobody has a assigned desk. I mean, not nobody, but like I don't have an assigned desk.
That was going to be my next question. So it's you don't have a desk. This is kind of like a shared workspace.
Correct. Yeah, this is just you sign out a desk for the day, and that's your desk for the day. So also another thing that's a little bit weird is that there's no like name tags on the desks, right? There's no like nameplates. There's no like way to identify that like the person sitting at this desk is, a person like that, like obviously they're human, but like you don't know who they are. If you don't know them, you won't know who they are unless you go introduce yourself, which is, yes, there's a whole extrovert introvert conversation to be had there. But like if I'm sitting in the cube with my back turned to the cube door, because that's kind of how the desk is situated in a cube, and cubes are tricky because they, there's limited ways you can turn, such that you could have peripheral vision to the doorway. Like nobody knows that you're there. And this is all very tangential to keyboards, but like it just is serving to the point of like the setup and the system there. There's just no stuff, right? And I'm a very stuff kind of creature comfort kind of person. I mean, at home I have 3 27-inch monitors that are 2560 by 1440, like big bunch of pixels on the screens here, like very panoramic, lots of things to see.
Yeah. I'm the same. Millions of pixels staring me in the face right now.
I know. I've actually thought about that and doing the math on it at some point, and it is so scary that I just don't even want to do it because I'm pretty sure it's like 10 million plus pixels in like arm's reach of where I'm sitting right now when you count like iPads and screens. And
you also have a very in my personal opinion, a very cluttered desk. You fill it up.
I do. Sometimes I go on a kick and I clean it all off, but then it kind of starts to accumulate again. And I don't know. I think that's how I like it.
It's just your style. Yeah, it's just comfort.
I like looking at pictures of people's desks that have like one wireless keyboard and a like magic trackpad, and that's it on their whole desk. And I'm like, and like a notebook. I'm like, that's very aesthetic, very nice. But in practice in my life, I just can't do that. So anyway,
okay. So
how does this have to do anything with keyboards? So I had a Bluetooth mouse in my backpack. That's great. I actually bought a portable screen, like a laptop screen that's just a screen that you can attach to a laptop, so that I can have with that screen, the screen on the desk, in my laptop. I have 3 screens, like of a sort.
Yeah, you showed me this. I actually put it on my wish list on Amazon. Like I really like what you bought.
Yeah, and actually I had I actually bought a laptop stand too, like a little kickstand almost for a laptop. Like it's like a little easel.
So it sits up a little bit so the screen is higher?
Yeah, so the screen of the laptop is higher. You can't really type on the keyboard of the laptop, and that's where keyboards start to come in here. But then the laptop is up at an angle, and then the screen is kind of, whatever, perpendicular to the floor, parallel to your face. And then the little auxiliary monitor, I've actually just today discovered a revolutionary way to put the monitor, so that like you take the monitor on the desk, you put it at its highest height, you put the little easel, like the little external monitor, the 15-inch external monitor, you put it on the desk below. So now you have kind of a vertical arrangement of 2 monitors, right?
Oh, okay.
And they're like almost the same width. I mean, it's a 15-inch and a 24-inch. They're not quite the same, but they're close enough. And then you put the laptop next to them, and the laptop has a 4K display that's running at 200%. So everything isn't microscopic, but from a Windows kind of like when you move the mouse across the screen thing, like the arrangement is such that it's like one big rectangle and then 2 smaller rectangles that are each like half the height of the big rectangle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So all of that it makes a very kind of nicely compartmentalized like setup. And so I can put like Slack or Teams or whatever, my instant messaging app on the bottom. Then I can put the thing I'm working on primarily on the big monitor. Then I can have my laptop screen be kind of the extra pieces and parts, or maybe I'll put email over there or whatever. Like I can just arrange the things such that they are kind of in a nice little arrangement. So this is all really cool, but now the laptop keyboard is up on a slant and far away from me, so I can't really reach it. So I had a little Logitech, the integrated touchpad and keyboard thing. Like,
oh yeah. I
had one of those.
I use that for my computer when I'm like sitting on my couch.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. It's perfect for that because it's got a little trackpad and it's got little buttons and all this stuff. You can click the mouse and you can work with it. That's great. I'd been putting it in my backpack and I took it to work for like 2 weeks, and it was very frustrating to work with, to like type with, because that little keyboard has feet on the corners, but not one under the space bar, like not one in the center.
Oh.
So the whole keyboard flexes on the desk. Like the bottom of the keyboard under the spacebar is hovering off the desk normally, and when you press the spacebar, the whole keyboard like flexes and bends a little bit until it kind of bottoms out and taps on the desk.
Yeah, it's meant for your like to be on your legs.
Yeah. And so that was unsatisfactory.
It's also really like a terrible keyboard, right? Like it's super mushy and
oh yeah, I mean if you want to start talking about like keyboard connoisseur, like mechanical keyboard, mechanical switches, all that kind of stuff. It's a bad keyboard as keyboards go. I mean, it's perfectly passable for sitting on the couch and, just controlling your Netflix or whatever, but like definitely not great for like typing for a whole day kind of a thing. So that led me to searching for kind of good portable mechanical keyboards. And so I've actually landed on one that I'm reasonably happy with. I think I like it. It is the Keychron K3 version 2.
Okay, so you had sent me a couple of options, and this was one of those options.
Yes, I believe it was. So the Keychron K3 is a ultraslim keyboard. It has what they call a 75% layout, I believe, which means that it has most of the keys you'd expect, except for a number pad and a couple of the other little like bonus keys. So it has a full number row. It has a full function row, like an F row. It has an escape key. It has a delete key, although it's in the wrong place, but that's another story.
Yeah. Importantly, it has the arrow keys and the buttons that would be above the arrow keys, but they are flush kind of like with the rest of the keys. They're not separated.
Yeah, it has a page up, page down, home, and end. It actually doesn't have an insert key, but that doesn't matter because whoever actually wants to press the insert key on purpose, I do not know.
Okay. Yeah. Good point. Great.
Like the insert key exists as like a giant troll to people that use computers, I think.
Yeah. Specifically for people that use like Excel.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, why is my stuff overwriting all my stuff? Why is it not typing the way I expect it to? Oh, that little thing says INS at the bottom. Okay. Got it. Or OVR or whatever. I don't know. It's you push the insert key and you screwed yourself. So
you said one thing, right, when you were introducing this keyboard. It is an ultra slim keyboard, which is the keyboard, a kind of keyboard that I have been raving about ever since I bought my Logitech G815, because the travel distance on the keys is slightly smaller, but the key caps are much thinner.
Yes, that is true. And this keyboard is the same way.
And you like that.
I am getting used to it. I would say I've only had this thing. I took it to work for the first time today as we record. So it was pretty good, actually. I did like it. Another interesting feature about the version that I got is it actually has the mechanical switches, and you can choose between blue, brown, and red. And I got the browns because that's what I have on my kind of keyboard at home, is like Cherry MX browns. Obviously, these aren't Cherry switches, but they're meant to feel like them. But this version that I got actually is hot swappable for the key switches, which means that you can actually buy other colors of switches, and it comes with a little switch puller, and you can pull the switches off the keyboard, and like you can see the circuit board underneath, and then you can click new switches in and then switch out the clicky ones versus the non-clicky ones versus the, different kinds. So I'm actually kind of interested to try some reds, which are the linear ones, which I've never tried before in like any other keyboard. But I'm very intrigued by the fact that I could switch them in this case.
Are you using it wirelessly or plugged in?
I actually used it wirelessly today.
And how, I mean, you haven't had enough time, but what do you expect the battery to be?
I'm not sure. I'll be happy if I could get a week out of it. That would be awesome. Then I could like charge it home or something. I mean, obviously I have a wire in my bag, but if I could use it for like a full work week, that would be cool. They do say that like you get much more battery out of it if you turn off the backlight effect. So it actually has RGB, which is funny. But it doesn't have per key RGB. So like you can't change the color of every individual key, like with a design or anything. It just kind of has patterns that it can do, which is fine. You can change the colors and stuff. And that's kind of cool. But it's a nice little keyboard. Like it's fun. I'm looking for I need to find a case for it. Because so far I just have like, it came with like plastic, like hard plastic over the keys. So I just like put that back on it and like put a rubber band around it. But like, I'd like to get like a little pouch or something. But the challenge is like with these ultra slim keyboards, they're not like normal size. So when you look at keyboard cases on like Amazon, like they have dimensions and you can measure the dimensions and you can figure it out. Like even those might not be right. But I actually got one that was supposed to be for like a 75% keyboard and it's way too big because it's made for like a real size keyboard and like it's humongous. So I have to figure out, I think I'm actually going to get a 60%, like one that's made for like a tiny keyboard and then put this one in it maybe. Or Keychron actually sells one, but I have to buy something else from Keychron in order to overcome the ridiculous like $20+ shipping that they will otherwise charge me on a $25 item. So yeah, that's the kind of second part of my keyboard journey here. But the portable one was the gateway.
I'm interested to hear your long-term experience with this because for people that know me or know what's going on in my life, I may be traveling more for work, and I like the keyboard that I have at home because it is and I guess the term is ultra slim. Mechanical keyboard. It is a full, I don't know, 110%, it's got a keypad on the right hand side. It's got, a separated arrow keys. It's also got macro keys on the left hand side, but it's probably a little overkill for travel. And the one that you have has arrow keys, which again is kind of enough for me for gaming is kind of where I'm coming from. Like if I wanted to travel and use a keyboard for not terrible gaming, I'm interested in your extended review on this keyboard.
So what this has done though is the K3 is skinny, but I have started to also kind of follow a little bit of some of the keyboard people, like the keyboard building.
You're gonna build
types.
your own here, buddy?
I think I might. And Keychron, well, so I should preface this. I think I might, and I would like to have, I like nice things for sure, and things like this and stuff you use all the time. I want to get like nice stuff. However, I don't know if you've ever looked at custom mechanical keyboards, but they get obscenely expensive.
Oh yeah.
Like some of the ones that people are like excited about and they're like, oh, this pre-order just went up for the Mode Sonnet, the Mode Design Sonnet. And just the keyboard, like that is like, it's just a keyboard and it's like $500. And it's very customizable. You can choose like the colors of all the pieces. Like you can choose, the back plate color, the top plate color, and the side plate color. And like you get all these different things. Like what weights do you want in it? And like what gaskets and what rubber stuff and sound dampening foam and which switches and what keycaps and all this stuff. And I'm like, all that stuff sounds really cool. I don't think I care quite that much. I like to have, nice keyboards. I have a Corsair K85, 95, I don't know, with Cherry MX Browns in it right now. And I it's good. I like it. But I don't know. I think it'd be fun to like get something that could have some custom keycaps on it. And I think I could put custom keycaps on the, the Cherries that I have now. But then I'm like, oh, but it'd be kind of nice if I could do like, swap out the switches just to like try some different switches. And people rave about different color switches that are different kinds and like fanciness. And you lube the switches, you take them all apart and you put little grease inside of them and stuff. I don't know. It's a slippery slope, but I'm tempted to. I'm looking at the Keychron Q3, which they have these keyboards that they call custom keyboards on their little headers on their website. And the Q3 is a 10 keyless standard layout, very normal looking keyboard. But it has hot swappable switches, so you can pop the little switches off and put other ones on. And it should fit, any sort of custom keycaps. Because I really do like the aesthetic pictures people put of like, oh, look at all my like super cool color matched keycaps, or like special ones. You can get ones that look like the old Apple extended keyboards. You can get like, I don't know, just different branded ones or colored ones or whatever. I saw somebody did the colors of the keyboard from Severance. Like they had keycaps that were basically the Severance keyboard, which is really cool. I'm pretty sure that Cortex, the podcast, which is CGP Grey and Mike Hurley, they're about to do a keycap set for the Cortex podcast / brand, which I think would be really fun to have. And I don't have anything to put those on. So I'm strongly considering getting a Keychron Q3 potentially.
I know someone that will be very excited about that news.
I know, and I should talk to him. I haven't talked to him about this yet, so I should definitely talk to him.